The Club World Cup is right around the corner, being the first of its kind, featuring 32 teams that will fight for the title in the United States. And since one of my teams is finally taking part in a tournament in the global stage, here are my Club World Cup predictions, which will surely age better than my Premier League ones. We start in Group A, which is composed of Palmeiras, Porto, Al Ahly and Inter Miami. A lot of familiar faces for me here. Palmeiras completed a perfect group stage in the Copa Libertadores and are in the fight for the Serie A title in Brazil. In my eyes, they are CONMEBOL's best shout at a deep run. Estevao is obviously their main star, and after this tournament he'll be heading over to Chelsea. But we can't sleep on the international stars of the likes of Richard Rios, Vitor Roque, Paulinho, Gustavo Gomez and so on. This team is stacked and they won't be easy to play for anybody in this tournament, especially under the management of their longtime coach Abel Ferreira. Porto are coming off a rocky season with many doubts, coming short in the race for the title in Liga Portugal, being smashed by their rivals Benfica and dropping out of the Europa League. However, they still have some great players and competing in Europe gives them an edge over their opponents. Al Ahly is the team I'm least familiar with, but they are obviously the biggest side in Africa. I would even say the biggest club outside of Europe and South America. They came short in the CAF Champions League, losing in the semi-finals on away goals, but they are still a team that cannot be underestimated. And of course, Inter Miami, the hosts, the team of the best player in history alongside some of his old teammates from Barcelona. Miami's attack is arguably the deadliest in this group, but that doesn't necessarily make them a great team. Defensively they are shambolic, there's no structure and they are managed by a bold fraud, which is never a good sign. With all of this in mind, I'm gonna go with Palmeiras to top the group, Porto to come in second, Inter Miami at third and Al Ahly in fourth. And I'm only giving the edge to Inter over Al Ahly because their game is the opening match. Otherwise, it's likely I would have predicted the Egyptians to finish above the Americans in this group. Group B has reigning Champions League winners PSG, alongside Atletico Madrid, Botafogo and Seattle Sounders. What is there to say about Luis Enrique's team? They destroyed Inter in the final and they proved that they are the best team in the world at the moment. Vitinha is looking like the best midfielder out there. Doué and Dembélé are game changers, and the fullbacks in Nuno Mendes and Hakimi are putting in crazy work. Atletico traded highs and lows this season. Griezmann is confirmed to be staying, and linking up with the Argentinians in Julián Álvarez and Giuliano Simeone, they can create some havoc in this group. Botafogo are the Copa Libertadores champions, but they are not playing like it. They barely squeezed through in the group stage and they are looking mid in the Serie A as well. They are almost nothing like the team that lifted the trophy in the Monumental last year. Seattle Sounders, just like Inter Miami, are the other team that will have home field advantage for every single game. Their form is inconsistent and their best players are usual picks for the USMNT's C or D teams, which is not great. So my call will be PSG in first, Atletico in second, Botafogo third and Seattle Sounders fourth. I could see Seattle beating Botafogo for the third place spot because they play at home, but I'm not buying into it. Oh boy, Group C. Bayern Munich, Benfica, Boca Juniors and Auckland City. So Bayern Munich, Bundesliga champions, Harry Kane, Musiala, Olise, among other bowlers, they are the clear favorites for this group. And the favorites to finish bottom are Auckland City, a team that is at least accustomed to playing in the international stage, but they simply lack the quality to play in this group. And so second place comes down to Benfica or Boca. The Portuguese side came very close to the domestic title and bowed out of the Champions League. Di Maria is leaving the club after this tournament, Otamendi is still in great form, Arstoğlu, Koçku, Pavlidis, they are quite a decent team. And then there's Boca. Now, I'm planning to do a more in-depth preview for Boca Juniors going into the Club World Cup, going into the squad or form and what expectations do I have, so I'm gonna keep it brief here. For now I can say that international stars like Ander Herrera and Cavani are injury prone and not really taken into consideration, especially for this starting game. Marcos Rojo will most likely start, but I don't really trust the guy defensively. Cavani is more likely to miss out on the first game, by judging by his current form, that's not really that big of a loss anyway. Marchesín is a pretty good goalkeeper, and there are some other players that I'm excited about in this team, but the overall squad is lacking cohesion, structure, defensive stability and passion. We did hire Miguel Angel Russo as our coach after the sacking of Gago, and this will be his third stint at the club. He won us our last Copa Libertadores in 2007 and was also the coach the last time that Boca actually played in the Club World Cup that year, where we lost the final 4-2 against Carlos Ancelotti's AC Milan. And then again through 2020 and 2021, where he was the last good serious coach we've had at the club, and I think that he's the perfect hire for this tournament, but still, I'm gonna predict Benfica to finish in second place and advance to the round of 16, while Boca bow out in third place. I really don't think we have it in us to beat Benfica, especially if we cannot cut it in South America and our own local league. Group D has Flamengo, Chelsea, Esperance de Tunis and Club León Los Angeles FC. Flamengo are the other shout for best team in South America right now. Many superstars, Georgian de Arrascaeta, Gerson, Wesley and recently signed Jorginho, a former man of Chelsea who recently won the UEFA Conference League and finished in the top 4 of the Premier League, so I guess we can assume that they're back? Esperance de Tunis won the domestic double in Tunisia and I don't think they can be underestimated, while LAFC beat Club America in the playoffs in extra time to get to this tournament. I don't see them as a threat, but they do have some recognizable players, most notably French World Cup champions Hugo Lloris and Olivier Giroud. But then again, I see them finishing bottom of the group behind Esperance, with Flamengo finishing second and Chelsea topping the group. Group E has River Plate, Inter Milan, Monterrey and Urawa Red Diamonds. My arch nemesis has many players that you've likely heard about before. On top of Manuel Lanzini, they have 4 World Cup champions in Franco Armani, Marcos Acuña, Gonzalo Montiel and Germán Petzela. But besides Armani and maybe Montiel, none of these big names have actually shown up for River yet. Their best player has been 17-year-old sensation Franco Mastantuono, already sold to Real Madrid and most likely playing his last tournament wearing the red sash. The team led by Marcelo Gallardo is yet to show dominant performances given their squad. There's really no cohesion in the midfield and no offensive threat, which is honestly shocking. Inter Milan were having a great season until they were embarrassed 5-0 in the Champions League final and ended up trophyless. This was the end for Simone Inzaghi, which is why Christian Chivu will take over for this tournament as coach. They still have a great team and it comes down to whether they can overcome this loss and perform to the level we've seen from them before. Mexican side Monterrey are a wildcard to me. Spanish players of the likes of Sergio Ramos and Sergio Canales are managed by countryman Dominic Torrent after the sacking of Martín de Michelis. They lost in the quarterfinals of the Mexican League. I don't think they are good, but neither is River Plate and neither are Urawa Red Diamonds. The Japanese team who sit third in the J-League and whose fans will be happy with nothing but the trophy apparently. Big aspirations there, but I still think they will finish bottom, followed by Monterrey, River Plate in second and Inter Milan in first. I'd love to predict the Mexican side to go through, but I don't think they have the huevos to topple River Plate. Group F will have Fluminense, Borussia Dortmund, Ulsan HT and Mamelodi Sundowns. Fluminense got here after defeating Boca Juniors in the 2023 Copa Libertadores final, and since then they've been on a decline and haven't fully recovered. Dortmund had a great end to the season after being mid all year, and they still have a pretty decent squad. Ulsan Hyundai are currently third in the Korean League and are nowhere near their best level, while Mamelodi Sundowns lost in the CAF Champions League final against Pyramids, but they are still one of the best sides in Africa. I will predict Dortmund to top the group, but I think this will be my first quote-unquote upset of the tournament, with Mamelodi Sundowns finishing in second ahead of Fluminense and Ulsan Hyundai finishing bottom, although they will be the team that I'll be rooting for in this group. Over to Group G with Manchester City, Juventus, Wydad Casablanca and Al Ain. I'm quite sad with this group because with how mid Juventus have been this season, I could have seen a scenario where Wydad Casablanca can get the upset over them, but Wydad have also been inconsistent in their local league and have not looked great in their friendlies against other European teams, so my predictions will remain fairly standard here, with Manchester City on top, Juventus in second, Wydad Casablanca in third and Al Ain in fourth. I don't think the team from the UAE has much to offer here, not even against Wydad or the other Middle East team from Manchester. And finally Group H, which is Real Madrid, Red Bull Salzburg, Al Hilal and Pachuca. The biggest club in the world has a lot to prove in this tournament after going trophyless last season with all of their superstars. Mbappé, Vini Jr., Bellingham among others have to prove that they are still a team to be feared, and this is the perfect group to do so. Even though they didn't win the AFC Champions League, Al Hilal has been the best team in Asia for a while. The amount of top players they have, Bono, Koulibaly, Ruben Neves, Mitrovic, Milinkovic-Savic, even the best in Saudi Arabia like Al Dawsari. This is a great team and one to look forward to in this tournament. Salzburg, no one knows how they got here, but here they are. We know they won't be a disaster, but they won't impress anybody either. While Pachuca I don't really trust, it's been a while since they've been competitive. Which is why I have them finishing bottom, Salzburg in third, Al Hilal in second and Real Madrid topping the group. With the group stage out of the way, let's take a quick look at how the knockouts would play out. Palmeiras against Atletico de Madrid should be a fantastic game, but unless El Cholo screws something up in the bench, Atletico should be going through here. Bayern against Flamengo would also be super entertaining, but I think that Bayern are simply too much for El Mengao to handle at the moment, which is why I will have the Germans advancing. Inter Milan against Mamelodi Sundowns. Now hear me out. This is where the new coach and the aging squad go mental boom, and Mamelodi Sundowns gets the upset and progresses to the quarterfinals. Now watch them not even make it out of the group, I can see it. Battle of the oil money between Man City and Al Hilal. I'm not really sure who actually has more money, but in football, Manchester City should be the clear favorites. Paris Saint-Germain versus Porto, I think should be easy for PSG. No disrespect to Porto, but I think that there's a big discrepancy not only in talent but also in team cohesion and in coaching, which is why I'll have PSG advancing. Chelsea-Benfica. We could have had a Portuguese derby in the quarterfinals, but instead I see both of them bowing out as Chelsea advances. Borussia Dortmund against River Plate. Now, I will trust that Dortmund won't pull off a Dortmund here and they will actually win this game for my sanity. While Real Madrid against Juventus, there's always a chance that Real Madrid can screw up with how inconsistent they've been, but Juventus have been even more inconsistent, even worse throughout all of the season, so yeah, I will have Real Madrid making it to the quarters. So now this is the Champions League plus Mamelodi Sundowns, and it could have easily been 8 European teams, however I only predicted Inter to go through instead. This is where I expect the tournament to get boring, but we also have some great ties like this Atletico de Madrid against Bayern Munich, where I think the German team are the favorites and they will advance. Dortmund against Real Madrid, a replay of the 2024 UCL final. I know that many people have this tie happening, and yes, also I have Real Madrid making the semifinals because, come on, lads, it's Dortmund. Man City versus Mamelodi. Now this is where I think it's the end of the road for the Sundowns. It was a good run, but Manchester City are simply too much and the citizens are making the semi-finals. PSG against Chelsea would be a fantastic game, but I don't really think that Chelsea has been tested against opposition like PSG, which is why I will have the Luis Enrique team advancing. The semi-finals are absolute cinema, starting with Bayern against Man City. I know that City are making some exciting signings, but Olise will come here to ruin the party and Bayern Munich will make the Club World Cup final. Ooh, PSG Real Madrid. Mwah. This is the game that Arsenal robbed us in the Champions League, but we get to see it in the Club World Cup. The narratives, Mbappé, the football, everything will be there. All of the spotlight. Feed me, give me that game right now, I need it. I'm always backing Luis Enrique and the boys here, they are making the final. which will be Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain at MetLife Stadium. A replay of the 2020 Champions League final, but unlike that time, PSG now actually have a coach and a cohesive team. They are flowing so well off each other, which is why I will have PSG as your Club World Cup champions, the best team in the world, undisputedly. I think they will take it home. So there you have it. I feel like I played it pretty safe with these predictions, but I don't know how else this tournament is gonna play out. Either way, I'll be here watching it. We'll be doing watch-alongs for the Boca Juniors game and some other exciting games around the way. And obviously in a few days, you're also gonna have my Boca Juniors preview for the entire tournament. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourself, leave a like, subscribe and comment. And as always, I'll be seeing you all next time.